Welcome back to lesson 1.7, starting a second topic, solving quadratic equations by taking the square root of both sides. This warm-up has two parts, basically because it wouldn't fit on one piece of paper nicely. Before we start, I'd like to point out that this method does not work well if the equation has a middle term. So this equation with the plus 4x in the middle, that would not work well by taking the square root of both sides. It could be done, but it's messy. First, some background, and I do have a reason for this, honest. Would like to take us back to where we were sketching the graphs of quadratic equations. So if we have this equation, it does not have a middle term. Does it open up or down? Well, the x squared is positive, so it must be opening up. Axis of symmetry. As you recall, that's x equals negative b over 2a. Well, there is no b. There's no middle term here, so this would be negative 0 over 2 times 1. So the equation of the vertical axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Somewhere along here, that's our axis of symmetry. The vertex. Well, we already have half of the vertex. We know the x-coordinate is going to be 0. And to get the y value, you just put 0 in the original equation for x. Apparently y equals negative 4. And because that's the vertex and it's opening up, we know that's going to be the bottom of the parabola. Y-intercept. Well, that happens when x is 0, and we already know that's negative 4. So basically, our parabola's going to be shaped sort of like that. Oh, we didn't get the x-intercepts. Well, the x-intercept happens when y is 0. And I turned it around because that makes me happier. We could add 4 to both sides. And then we could take the square root of both sides. And we get that x equals 2. And since this was the x-intercept when y is 0, that would be the point 2, 0. So there we are. But what about this one? Apparently, it looks like there should be another x-intercept. And it often gets overlooked. When we take the square root of both sides here, x could be 2, and 2 squared comes out to be 4. X could also be negative 2, and the square of negative 2 also comes out to be 4. And both of these are solutions to that equation. So we have to be certain that we include those. We often write it x equals plus or minus 2. And that would be in keeping with the picture that we know should happen. Now, some of you might have looked at this same problem and realized that this is the difference of two perfect squares. And when you solve it that way, you don't lose, one of the roots. You get both of the roots. So that's it for the first part of the warm-up. If you could find the other sheet with part